Hello. Welcome to the takeover. Ladies
Ladies' night.
night.
Pew, 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 pew.
Hostile
We got
takeover of the channel.
cheap drink specials and all the ladies you can, as far as I can see. I don't know.
And so much pop music. No.
It's all pop music. Yeah. How's everyone doing? Oh my gosh. Hello,
Good.
chat. Hello, Mac. Hello, Nina. Hi, I'm Bunny Dreadful. Usually, we're not here. Usually, Tome of Knowledge is Maximus
Dudes.
Drake, Virtual
No.
Spectre. Yeah, a bunch of dudes. And moves like Jagger, but they are all taking a little break tonight. I don't know what they're doing. Probably boy stuff.
Dude stuff. No, I don't know. Working out.
But I'm here with Mac and Cheese, please, and Kid Kerrigan, and we're taking over the show. I don't know, so we're doing it live. What are we doing?
We're chatting.
Yeah, we're chatting about all things D&D from a woman's perspective, because I feel like D&D is definitely like surrounded. It's like a boys club that like girls are like, we want to play too. And so, D&D from our perspective and the things that we like too. So,
and I think it's like getting better. Like I think within just like the last like maybe 5 years, really D&D's been more like approachable for everybody. But I know like when I was growing up, it was very much like that's something like a bunch of dudes would do in a basement, and like it was like a thing, right?
Yeah.
And like very much like what you see on like Stranger Things and stuff like that was very much like the trope. But it's getting better, or is better, or is it? I don't know. That's what we're here to talk about.
that's what we're here to talk about.
Why don't we start, Mac? I just want to know, like, how long have we all been playing D&D, and like, where'd you get your start? Like,
yeah, I started in 2016 or 2015 at a card shop. So at the time, I was living in Nebraska and I didn't have any friends. And so I was like, well, where do you meet other nerds? And I was like, card shop. And so I went to a card shop and they're like, we play D&D on Wednesday nights or whatever night it was. And I was like, oh, cool. Can anyone join? And they're like, yeah, for sure. So I joined, and that's what was like my first experience, except it was very different than like actual D&D, because with a card shop, you don't know what you're going to get. There's a lot of people that join. I think our group was like 15 or 20 consistently. So it was a lot of fighting. It was a lot of encounters, and it was basically just encounters, which is why I really like fights, because that's how I learned to play D&D, was the fighting aspect. And then I played several other campaigns later with like friends over Discord. But I would say like Casters and Cantrips in campaign 1 is the first time I actually like truly finished a campaign. So that's me and my journey.
When you say there was 15 or 20, as in like people in the session playing actively?
Yep.
wait,
That's
what?
crazy.
That's
Oh my
why it
God.
was like all encounters, because you can't role play with that many people. So
Yeah.
it's like you're walking on a mimic. What? Everything was a mimic. Like you open a door, it's a
Oh my gosh.
mimic. And so, yeah, I
Oh my
fought a
God.
lot of mimics and dragons, because why
A
not?
resident mimic slayer, mimic slaying expert.
You better watch out now.
What about you, Nina? What's been your experience?
So the first time that I entered this kind of area was actually Max invited me to play.
Oh,
It was
that's right.
just a purely like role play type one shot, and there was no like D&D aspects to it. I can't remember what it was called. Something wheel. He'll probably yell it
Yeah,
out of
he's
the
in
room or
chat.
something.
Max is.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to go play Starfield and ignore us, but he's in chat. So
And I was so nervous because I'd never played Burning Wheel. That's the one. Thank you. Thanks, Max, in the chat. It was called Burning Wheel, and I had no idea, because that was before I really had any idea that I wanted to pursue anything in like performance or TTRPGs or like anything like that. So I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what to do. I had no sense of like improvising, and because it's entirely role play, and it's like the complete opposite. There's no combat It's entirely a role play story.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
and
so
like
interesting.
I'm like, "What do I do? What do I say? What am I allowed to do and say?" Like, I had no
Sure.
idea. It was so strange to me, but I think it was good that that was my first entry into it because there weren't all of the barriers of learning all those rules. But, then I think that was I don't even remember what year that was, 2015 or 16 as well, when I was living in America, so it would have been like 2016 or something. That was when I was in
Just like
California.
it's a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago. But then after that, I hadn't touched it for a long time, and then during the pandemic, I was like, if there was ever a time to get into D&D, now's the time,
Oh,
especially when
yeah.
I started doing voiceover stuff. And I was like, that seems like a really good way to just kind of practice improv, practice character stuff, practice storytelling, and all those kinds of things. So luckily, a bunch of people in my Twitch community were already familiar with D&D, and they would teach me and
Oh, cool.
That's
we'd
great.
run, like, one shots for, like, our community and stuff, which was super awesome. So yeah, started with, like, a few one shots and stuff, and then, again, this campaign with, season 2 on Casters is, like, my first, like, full-fledged campaign. Do you remember the other day where we finished the session and I was like, "How many more sessions do we have?"
And we're like, it's probably like another year or two. Like,
That was so funny.
And
You're
I'm
like,
like,
"Oh."
"Oh," 'cause I was looking at my calendar and I'm like, "Yo, Christmas is coming. Do we, like, finish by the end of the like, what's going on?" Like, I didn't have any idea to, like, the scale of this game
forever.
at all, and I'm like, "We're only just digging into stuff, like, when are we gonna have time to do all the things?" So,
Yep.
yeah, I was like, "Okay, this is all things considered, this sounds like the right time to be where our team is at." But, yeah, so that was my start.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah.
Um, I like my earliest memories of like a D&D thing were like my friends and I had this like Sailor Moon TTRPG book that we would like pass around and like
It's amazing.
pick our characters, but we like never played. We like kept
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was always like, oh,
Yeah.
when we play, oh, this, and we'd
When we
like
play,
do
I'm gonna
fan
do
art.
this.
We would do everything but play because we were just like we didn't really understand how. But then I was like, but I'm not gonna play like D&D. That's like too much. But then I got invited to play in college and played, and you're just like we were hanging out in the dorm, we had nothing else to do, so I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try. I had a really good time, but the other players were all like kind of trolls, so that game kind of like crashed and burned after like two
Oh,
sessions.
Oh
sad.
no.
Like it's the kind of game where people are like, I'm just gonna do whatever crazy thing I want because I can, and you're like, oh well, okay.
Oh.
But it was fun. But then I was like, I don't know, maybe it's not for me. And then I didn't play again until I started working in the games industry. And when you work in the games industry, there's always people running games after work. And I kept getting invited to games through every job. I'd started a new job, and then someone would like, "It's not your fault, Zeus. You weren't the first, not the first, but the second game I started playing in, Zeus got me in." But people would like swing by your desk and be like, "Oh, so and so said you like D&D. You want to play? We got a game." Like people would like get real excited and like trying to like get you to join their game. And I was like, and this was slightly before it's as popular as it is now. I think someone linked me Critical Role back then, and it was one of those like some people know of this, but people didn't really know of it kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mm.
That's like the level of popularity it was at. But then I just kept playing, and then when I met Max, we both liked D&D too, so we just like started playing together, and that kind of like led to one thing and then led to the idea for this game. He was just like, oh, should I just run a game on stream instead? And I was like,
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
And I didn't think he was going to ask me to play. I was like, he's like, yeah, I'll get all of these like streamers to play. We'll get like really cool streamers. So that like, that's like the whole thing. It's like, oh, look at all these cool streamers like playing the game. I'm like, oh, that's really cool, Max.
We're
That's like
cool
so good.
streamers.
And
Oh
then
my
one day he was
God.
just like, yeah, so when are we going to do that? I was like, but I'm playing too. And he's like, yeah, you're a streamer. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not like popular. And he's like, I don't, that's not what it's about.
No,
I'm
you're a
like,
cool
oh,
streamer.
okay, I'll play. I have a character ready. Let's go. So yeah. So I have a decent amount of experience with it, but all those games I'd played before were very different. I think this is also the first campaign that I finished because every other one fizzled out, or there was drama, or there was scheduling conflicts.
Yeah. I feel like
Scheduling
scheduling
conflicts.
conflicts are like so common, or like The
Yeah.
one I mean, technically, we might have finished it. We were doing, like, something Pandelver, and we got to a dragon and then basically party killed, except for, like, me and
Oh
one other
no.
person, like but it was, like, next round, we were all gonna die, and then the DM goes, "If you want, I can send you on a quest to bring everybody back to life, or we can play Strahd." And we're all like, "Okay, let's play Strahd." So
You're
we,
like,
like,
we're done. We
ended
died. Whatever.
yeah, yeah, we party killed and then just it was done.
I think that counts as an end. I mean, like if everybody was it was like, yeah, we're done with that, and then like do the next thing, that counts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that counts. That's so
That
funny.
that happened in one of my games too, actually. We had like a one of my favorite DMs was one of the guys from my community, but because he's a police officer as well, his schedule is like he never knows when he's going to
Oh,
do stuff.
sure.
But he's one of the most fun DMs in the way that you hate Bun, because he lets us
What?
do whatever we want and he'll like roll with it. And he'll do the whole
Well,
like
people doing whatever they want, but like,
but there are consequences to your actions though.
yeah, that's what I'm
Ooh,
saying.
that
Another
sounds
game that
fun.
would
Yeah.
I want consequences. Like if people want
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
weird stuff, I just don't want to spend an entire hour chasing a squirrel around a tavern. Like that's not a good
Oh, no,
episode
not like
one
that. No.
of
Yeah.
It'll
yeah.
be like you're pointing at the map and you're like, "I wanna go over there." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go over here. I
It's
wanna
such
look
a
at this
leading
thing." You
question.
fell off a cliff and you're dead. And then we're like, "Oh, oh, okay." And then,
Dang it.
as you said, the quest to, like, bring everyone back to life just happens naturally somehow, like
That's really funny.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if your character were to die, like, how do you guys go about, like, making new characters? Like, are you the kind of person that, like, you gravitate towards, like, women characters or men characters, or doesn't matter, whatever you're feeling? Like, if Max were to say, "Okay, your character's done, like, start a new one," what's your process?
I don't think I've ever played a character in any game, if I had a choice, that was a male. I will put
Really?
that out there. I don't think ever, not in, like, World of Warcraft, not in
Playing
and I
video
have,
games
like,
too.
7,000 alts, yeah,
Interesting. So
and
in
it's
video games, I'm
always
always a man.
I've always played a
Are
woman,
you?
yeah.
Mhm,
Oh,
I
interesting.
flipped at some point when I was younger. I would always play a man character.
mhm.
Always, always, always. And then I think it was WoW that flipped it. There was one day where it just flipped
Like, "Oh, I need
because
this one."
I just got kind of tired. I rolled like a really like a torrent. It was like a big character, and I just like didn't want to stare at his butt anymore. I was just like over it, and I was like, I'm just gonna be a pretty elf. And then I just like never looked back. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna be ladies in every video game from here on out because
They're
that's
nice to
pretty.
look at.
Yeah,
But I
but
don't know.
it
I
it
like the male characters are something fun about. I don't know. I think people just treat you different on the internet.
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't know why I just always wanted to be like a man version of every like body type, you know? And so I was like, I don't know if they had just had more stuff, like it was
They
cooler
usually
then, you
do,
know?
yeah.
I feel like but then playing D&D, even then I would play male characters up until Vin. I played
Really?
a female. Vin was my first female. Yeah.
That's
mm,
interesting.
Yeah, I can't like say this is why I do it. Like I literally don't know. Um
same.
but I you know what? I think it was the switch to go female this round is because we were all voice acting our character and like I'm not a trained voice actor. So like I can't pitch down in a way that is comfortable for me and sounds like even remotely natural, you know, and I can do for extended periods of time. So I was like, well, I'm just going to talk normally and I'm going to be a girl. It's
I
like
don't
kind of
think
my
anyone
decision.
can do that truly. Like if you were because the thing is D&D games go for so long, but if
Yep.
you were to like in an audiobook or something, for example, I'm listening to an audiobook right now, and this narrator, there's like a particular dude in the story that his voice sounds physically painful to me, the way that she performs it, because I'm listening to it and I can feel it, and I'm just like, why did you do that to yourself? Like,
Yeah.
there's no, even if I think there's like a certain pitch level that if you go beyond it, like you wouldn't be able to sustain that for more than 45 minutes and then need to take a break anyway. So, like,
Yeah.
even
Oh,
voice
that's a good
actors would take
point.
those breaks, and you would limit that to, like, 2 hours and have like heaps of breaks in between anyway. But when you're
Sure.
doing D&D, it's kind of hard to know. Like even sometimes with Cuda, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, but I was sick too, I guess. So that
I
kind
hadn't
of
thought of it that way. That's really interesting.
yeah.
I also can't. I have played male characters. To me it's based on the character. It is what gender or non-gender. What is this character? Who are they? And
Oh, so
that's
you're
how I
playing with the
decide.
story first.
Yeah, and so I've played
Ah,
both. But I find it very challenging to play certain types of male characters because I can't do my. I also cannot. How do you? I don't know how to. You can't
pitching down?
down. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't pitch down my voice very comfortably. I can do it like a little bit, but it's like it starts to
Ugh.
hurt. And I never thought about it until you said it, Nina, that would be like so unsustainable, especially if streaming it. So I don't know. That's
Yeah,
And so it's like, do you
definitely.
even need to though? Can you be a male character that doesn't like, do you need to pitch your voice down that much? Or like because we're always suspending our disbelief anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, true.
So I do have thoughts on that from experience. If you don't pitch your voice down and you're playing, and honestly, I get this. This is not. I don't mean this to be a blanket statement, but in my experience, it's always been the male players that have a really hard time remembering that my character is male. The
Mm.
female
Oh, I
players
can
are
see that.
really good at like suspending disbelief, but I'll get a lot of like she, her, and I'm like, excuse me, my character's name is Jack. Like he's a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a pee-pee. Like, what are we doing? But they just like can't move past it a lot
They
of
have
the
to do it
times.
for their man brains. Okay.
And
Understood.
it might just be those specific people I was playing with. It may not be, and that's not everyone I've played with, but in my experience, the people that have had the problem with it are very masculine presenting.
Mm.
Sure. Yeah.
Like cis white men usually. Sorry, it's just usually what it's been. And I don't think it's like I don't think they mean it that way. And I think if we were streaming it, it might be better in a way because we're all doing voice acting and we're all acting, and the DM's doing voices for both male and female characters. And we've also got like our character art kind of like up at all times. But if you're playing around a table, that's like the chat.
Yeah, it's like trying to see the other person as a completely different
Yeah.
being. Yeah.
And maybe it's just I'm not skilled enough as an actor yet, and so I wasn't able to pull it off enough. I don't know what like that's what I'm saying. I don't want to make a blanket statement or blame anybody because I don't know what the disconnect was. But I know that the
Sure.
other women
Mm.
who were playing at the time didn't have a problem like suspending that disbelief. And it was a very effeminate male character in some ways, so maybe that was the problem. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's just interesting to note though. That's
Yeah.
why we're having this discussion. Like
Yeah.
the different ways that we have to tailor our gameplay experience to make it as smooth and enjoyable as possible, right? But
Sure.
yeah, I don't know why I've always played women characters either. I feel like since Lara Croft was a thing, I was like, "Oh, we can just be women in games? Oh, cool, I'll just be
Right.
that."
I mean
Like
I'll just do that
true.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the second we could, it was like, oh. No, I played Bully. Bully was male, and you played
What was
Chauncey.
his name? Chansey. Yeah,
Chansey.
Chansey was a
Yeah,
male
and
bard
that
fairy.
but I had like I don't know, we were both doing voices, but it was only for like an hour or something. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
felt like that worked out really well
it
too.
did. Yeah. Well, and so we recently just finished our one shot, and I almost went Chansey, but then I was like, man, I don't know if I can sustain that voice. So that's why I went Sunny first, and then if Sunny died, I was going to be Chansey. But
It's
I
a
was
lot
like,
of work.
a lot of work. Yeah.
And Max in chat saying that he'd never played a woman character until he'd had to voice an NPC in campaign 1.
Then you got a taste of it and was like, "That's amazing." Maybe I
He's
should
like,
challenge
"Ooh."
myself to play a male
Yeah.
character next
I
time I
think
have the
so. I think
chance to
I was
play.
gonna say that.
Ooh,
Because
season
I
3?
just never considered it, but
Just for a
I
one shot or something. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think it might be worth it because hearing that as well is like, maybe I just never really gave it was just not something I thought about, so I didn't give myself the
Yeah.
opportunity to
Mhm.
even try that.
It's fun. Like, it's fun to, I don't know, like, bend like the gender rules of like, well, you gotta play this character and you gotta play this, and you're like, no, I can do whatever I want. Shut your mouth,
Mm,
you know?
mm.
I think as society moves forward in general, like genders are less important too. It's more about like the character and the personality type. But I
Yeah.
think we all do still have some like baggage with it, right? Like it's not
Mm,
like you're just making this character in a vacuum. But I think it's fun to try characters that are not comfortable. I mean, not
sure.
that they're uncomfortable, but they don't like something that doesn't.
It's just like outside of your little box.
Yeah, I think
Something
it's
new.
good. Challenge yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
and talking about like challenging yourself, like, do you change the way you play depending at who's at your table? So, for example, if there's a lot of, like, say you're the only girl at the table, do you change how you would play your character? Or maybe there's someone at the table, male or female, or who, like non binary, doesn't matter, whose like personality you just don't quite get along with. So you change things that you would have said normally.
Sometimes, yeah. I think it depends on the situation as well, though. I mean, I feel like
Sure.
I think that's something that I would do in general. Like, it comes down to, like, how I would interact with someone, generally speaking, and then apply that to the game, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
Mhm.
I already tailor my personality and the way I behave to who I'm talking
Mm,
to. I
yeah.
can't
Sure.
help it. It's the way my brain works.
The ADHD thing. Need a
Yeah,
mask.
you know it, girl.
You love a
Um,
mask.
but like, I think I also do it in D&D, but just like more so,
Sure.
maybe.
Who's you're
It's
playing a
more
character?
and it's more performative. Yeah. I
I
don't know. What
know.
about you, Mac? Do
Well, I
you do
can't
you
help my own personality trait of like, if I feel attacked or I'm upset, I shut down. And so I stop talking, I just like you'll know that I'm mad because I am not interacting anymore. I'm like done. But like we're doing a show, so I'm not gonna like walk away. So it's like, nope, I'm good. Like we're we're done talking now. Cause my response to everything, and I hate this about my brain, is like to cry? So in my
Mhm.
mind is like, well, if I don't say anything, then I'm not gonna trigger the tears. So let's just not say anything?
I'm the same.
The same.
So
Yeah, I
don't
hate
yeah,
and, like
ask
happy,
Max, ask
sad, mad, like I cry. All of the
funny,
emotions cry.
funny, really sad, really mad, really tired, really angry, like everything.
Hungry, like
Yeah, hungry. Uh-huh. Something's
every
really
emotion
cute.
is cry.
It's just like, yeah, everything's just cry. Yeah. And that's not something you want to do at a D&D table, right?
Definitely
Because
not. This would be fun.
yeah, and you can't help it, but then it's like you said, you just want to like walk away or you just like shut down because the alternative isn't an option.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think when I'm at a table and like something is happening that I'm frustrated with or someone had said something and I'm just like, yeah, I shut down internally. And I don't know if like say it was reversed and like a male or someone else with like a different personality type had an issue at the table, would they just be like, blah, 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 and address it right there? Whereas like I feel like, well, I want to make sure everyone's having a good time and I'm not going to project how I feel on other people? And so, yeah.
Have you been in a game with like a guy that's very much like a rules lawyer bro that just like if something does not go the way they want, there's like a full on debate that's like going to happen right then and there?
Yeah, so that actually did happen in a game. One of my I will keep all names out. So one of my friends was like,
Mac
so we
is
were trying
spilling
to
the
get
tea.
over, yeah, we're spilling the tea. He was trying to get over a wall and he had like a grappling hook thing and he threw it and it went over the wall and then the DM had asked, "What's in your hands?" And he was like, nothing. Like, I don't have any weapons. Like, we're going over this wall. And then he was like, cool. The grappling hook goes over the wall. You weren't holding onto the rope. And like, we were all like, we stopped and we were like, well, I think it's assumed that like he was holding
Yeah.
on to the rope? And he like took it like, well, you didn't say. So that's not what happened. And he was very upset. And they stopped game and they talked about it for like 10 or 15 minutes. Whereas, like, if it was me, I would have been like, that sucks. Okay. All right. And then
Yeah.
like turned off my mic and like pouted for a minute,
See, that's so interesting because that's exactly what this DM that I was talking about would do. He would do that, and then we would just be like, "Oh, whoops." Like,
Whoopsies.
it's not like, then we would but that I think it depends on because that situation, as we just saw, it's completely different depending on how those personalities already play together.
Mm,
Like, he had
mhm.
Sure.
already set the precedent of, like, anything can happen in this game. Shit can go wild. Like,
Yeah,
things might go sideways, but we'll find a way around it.
to
Whereas
fix it.
it sounds like with your game, there wasn't that air of whimsy about it. It was just,
These are
you
the
better
rules.
be specific about things or stuff will hit the fan. So it's just that's so interesting that different groups would handle things so
Yeah.
differently. Like, that sounds like a little bit aggressive.
Well, so I will say this was their first campaign. So
Uh,
I think they were being a little bit of a rules lawyer because, like, well, that's the rules of the game and like
Yeah.
sticking it to a T.
trying to
Where,
learn them and stuff as well,
yeah,
yeah.
but I will say, like, Max has come out and said that, like, he's a new DM, but he DMs like he's been a DM for like 30
Mm,
years. Like,
yeah.
straight up out of the womb, like,
Yeah.
came out with a book, like,
Yeah.
like
Please tell I
Clutching
tell him
the
this, like,
tome of
after
knowledge.
every game, he doesn't believe me.
no, he's like, every time Drew plays with us, he's like, "Holy shit, Max is such a good DM, like, I wanna
Yeah.
play again," like, he's like, just so excited, and I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, Max is great, I love
That
Max,"
reminds
like
me, like, I have a question about that. So you got to play with Drew on stream for our charity stream, and you've played with
Yeah,
him in a one shot that we did before, but you've also played with him in
with
person,
that
right?
yeah, I've played with him in that group of, like, with the rules lawyer. So,
Do you do you find that playing with a partner also at the table is like fun, or does it introduce like different types of challenges? Like what's like you
so
spill the tea on Drew too.
I feel this is so weird because, like, I feel like I'm at my most creative when nobody knows, Like, if I like, for example, I haven't told any of my, like, IRL high school friends, Facebook people that I make YouTube content. None of them
Really?
know. None of them I don't you can find it, sure, but I'm not about to tell you, like, don't look at what I'm doing, you know? And so when Drew joined us, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, someone knows." Like, I'm embarrassed now, like like, because it's like you at your
What? It's
nerdiest,
so
and I'm like,
interesting.
"Don't look at what I'm doing." Like, so, yeah, I don't know, I feel like, "Eek," when someone I know is, like,
Oh, that's
watching
so
or joining.
interesting.
Mhm. What about you? Because you play with Max, who's your partner, and so
Once we started dating and realized we both liked D&D, it very quickly became a like, why would I don't even want to play without you. Like we are very
oh,
comfortable playing together and we really like it. And we have fun doing like role playing scenes or not doing scenes, like whatever. We haven't really I don't watch Max say something in the comments. I don't think we've had any like I don't think it's really changed anything. The only thing that's changed is like we just talk about the game more before and after, if that makes
oh,
sense.
sure,
Like there's just
sure.
more like talk in our household about our characters and we'll like bounce ideas after each other and we'll sometimes like practice the voice acting before games like around the house.
Oh, yeah,
So we'll
yeah.
like walk around. I
That's
got this idea from
awesome.
Laura Bailey actually, but like I will walk around and be like do voices to sort of like get a feel for it, right?
Mhm.
So if anything, I think it's made it a better experience for me. But I have had the opposite experience in the past when I've played games with someone I was dating. So I think it's just me and Max have a good
Chemistry.
vibe. And he will not, I do try all the time to get wife privileges, and he will not, like, I never get any
No.
secrets. I never get extra inspiration. I don't know.
He's a
I'm
very,
throwing that
very
out there.
fair and just DM. That is true.
Have you ever played, with someone that you were dating at the time, or?
No, no, I met Arthur on Twitch. So, God, we've been dating for like 7 years now. Ugh. Um, but
Oh,
but we
so
because we
cute.
met on Twitch, we already were aware of what we were putting out, so it was, like, kind of the opposite to what Mac was saying. But that being said, this man would never play D&D. He has 0 interest
Mm.
in that world
Interesting.
whatsoever. Um, so it's becoming more interesting, though, how, like, he's so supportive of, like, my acting journey and me doing all of this stuff, and he's very excited for me and very supportive of me doing all of these things. Um, but I don't think I've ever performed in front of him. Like,
Yep.
he sees all my clips and crap all the time, like, on
He's not
social
like in
media,
the
but,
room
like,
with you.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
and
but it's like what Mac was
we don't, like,
saying. It's
talk
like
about it, or,
different.
like, yeah, like, he'll like stuff all the time, so I see that he's seen it, but it's not like we really sit down and discuss, and also he's in a different state, so we've been, like,
Oh,
long
sure.
distance for, like, 7
Yeah.
years, um but I think slowly he'll probably become more and more exposed to that stuff, because I do, like, voice acting classes, or when
Yeah.
we were playing D&D in his house a few times when my background randomly changed for a few of our sessions, was, like, when I was staying over there. So he will, like, come home from work and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, where should we go next,
Can
team?"
you imagine coming home
And
to
he's
Trude
just
like,
like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym and work out. I'll be back in about an hour or 2." Like, but we
That's my
don't talk
favorite thing
about
ever.
it, like, so, yeah, it's just something that happens and it is just accepted, like,
It's so
Yeah, yeah.
funny.
which
I
is,
get
Do you
yeah,
that.
so
think
I
he'd
think
ever
I get
play?
what you mean by that, like, but also
Mm.
I know he knows, so, yeah, it's, like, weird and not.
Do you think he'd ever play? Like, if you were like, "We're gonna
No,
play D&D for
I
my
don't
birthday."
I don't think he would be into it. It's not his thing. Like, he doesn't even play, like, MMOs or anything like that. Like, he doesn't like
Interesting.
anything
Okay.
that's kind of derived from that kinda D&D framework. I don't think I've ever seen him really
Yeah.
play any of those games. Like, he plays a lot of
Mhm.
RPG action games, shooters, like, really big on, like, shooters and stuff, um, and, like, Souls-like games, things like that. But yeah,
That's how Drew is.
so
He
It's like
likes
true. I
Souls-like.
was like, I'm so sorry.
Yep.
yeah.
It's so interesting. Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, so that's like playing games, right? But like, what about like your play styles? Like, how do you think that's changed from like the start of your D&D experience to now? Has your play style changed? Have you always been into it, or like maybe your play style changes with like the video games that you're playing? Like if you're really into a certain type of video game and you like that kind of style in there, you bring that into D&D. I don't know, something to think about.
I think I I always feel like I'm still learning. Like, even when we started this campaign, I was like, "Max, are you sure? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know half the stuff my character can do. I don't know how to level her up." Like, every time y'all try to make me do something, I'm like, "I don't understand how to use this
You're like,
character sheet." Like, it's been yeah, exactly. It's been
I
years and I
barely
still
understand if
don't
it
get
makes you feel better.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. So I feel like I'm still always learning, but I was always like I haven't been super into what's it called? You mentioned it before, Critical Role. But
mhm.
when I've seen, like, I want to watch it, but it's so intimidating. There's like 4,000
there's
episodes.
And they're
so
like
many
4
episodes.
hours long, and I'm like,
It's
"I'm
so
good.
much. The only reason I
Yeah,
I'd
watched it
rather
for a
watch
while is
something
because
else."
I was, like, painting and I needed to just, like, have something constantly
yeah,
going.
that's what it's
Yeah.
great for. But so when I watch clips from that, or like Anna Prosser, I've seen like a couple of her games, her playing some games as well. They come up with ways to solve problems in the game that I'm like, "I didn't even realize you could do that in
Mhm.
D&D." Like, I think there was a particular game that Anna Prosser was playing where she was like, "Oh, can I use my whatever ability to check what the weather's gonna be like for the next few days to decide if we should, like, camp or not?"
Druidcraft.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah, and
Druidcraft,
I'm like,
yeah.
"You can do that? Like, how do you
Dude,
know
I
to
was
ask these
literally looking at
questions?"
that spell yesterday because we did our D&D, and I'm playing a warlock, and I have Druidcraft from some whatever feed, I think. And I was like,
Mm.
when would I use this ever?
Yeah.
It's it's stuff like that that you just learn from playing. Like, I only know about it
Mm.
because I played a druid once that there was another druid in the game and she was using it and they were like asking my druid to use it and my druid was like, I didn't take that. So I was like, that's like a boring old people spell. Like, that's like
Yeah, we don't
checking the
want that.
news channel for the weather or like whatever. So I only know about things that have like really come up in my experience. Like I still have no clue how sorcerers work because I don't like them. Sorry.
I love sorcerer. See,
I'm
so
so glad you do. They're not for me.
so I like sorcerers for the fact that all the spells are like that's what your spells are, and you don't have to worry about it. So I'm gonna be
Mm.
honest with you guys. I haven't changed my spells in like the last 10 plays because I forget that I can even do that. Every
I
morning I have
didn't
to
know you
Dude,
could.
every freaking morning I have to change out my spells. And like I'll tell y'all on this. I think I said it in our the thing that happens after we play the game and what's our other
The
podcast
post
called?
chat
No,
situation.
they're the other
combat.
one. The
Out of
out of combat.
Yeah.
So I've said it in out of combat, but I'll say it here too. I totally forgot in campaign 1 that I was playing a changeling until Moobs reminded me. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I have so many cool ability. Why am I not using this?" Which is why I wanted to play one this time because my goal is every time we go somewhere, I'm gonna change. Like I'm gonna be somebody
Yeah.
freaking else, you know. And so, like I'm gonna use this thing, and now I'm a wizard that I have to change stuff, and I don't remember. So
Well, I can start. Okay, because I didn't realize you guys were struggling with that. I just
It
have
was
been
a
changing
habit.
mine quietly behind the scenes to like not slow down
Mm.
the like show. But now I'm like, maybe I should be like, morning, let's all change our spells. Okay,
what do we
next. Like,
think? Yeah. Well, or even if you like DM, like, hey, spellcasters,
um,
change your spells if you need
let's
to.
all do it for each other. Let's all like promise.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Someone
Well,
put it in the chat and then we'll do it.
so the thing is though, I never know what's gonna happen, so I don't know what spells I should have.
You
You know
just
what I
You
gotta
just
mean?
have to
guess.
like
Yeah.
guess. Like I think this is what we're gonna about to be doing. I should probably take the like how I think of it is like if you're packing your bag for a sleepover, what are you gonna
Yeah.
need in your sleepover
Mm.
bag? You know you're going on a sleepover. What are you bringing? You
It's like,
know?
are you going camping to the hot climate or the cold climate? Like like
And then
Yeah.
bring
You
a
know a little bit. You might not know who's going to be there and what they're going to have advantage or disadvantage against, but like you know a little bit of what you need. Like there are so many spells I just straight up haven't used because I haven't changed all my spells.
Oh yeah,
alternatively, and this
I
gets
have changed them out, but then I never used them that day. So then the next
Yep.
day I
so
would
you're
be
just
like,
like,
okay, that
eh.
was useless. Let me get rid of that. So I
I
have
mean,
been like
that
since I found
happens.
out you can do it, I have been like doing that stuff more and trying to make it a habit. But yeah, trying to like remember everything my character can do is hard sometimes.
It's a lot.
So another thing you can do that I find this is what I find really helpful for playing casters that have like they have to prepare spells. And this is going to speak to your question about like the play style I gravitate towards. Is I've learned that I really gravitate towards the play style depends on the character. So if it's like the character wants to be really good in combat, then I want to be really good in combat. But mostly I gravitate towards like sort of a utility and then like a role playing aspect. So that means one of my tricks for when I started playing spellcasters, because I don't like them having all the spells, this is why sorcerer scares me, is
I
when I
will give
prepare my
it.
spells, I only swap out like one or two, if that.
Mm,
Oh,
What I do
okay.
is
yeah.
my character has like, these are my favorite spells. So if I played a druid who she loved animals, she loved being an animal, she wanted to just be a bear every day of her life. She didn't like the druid craft, the old people magic. She didn't want to heal people. She was just like, that's boring. Yeah,
Let me be a
technically I can
bear.
do it, but I don't really want it. And so like she just had a set of spells that I was like, these are the spells she likes. And she's just mostly gonna stick to those. And maybe that's not the most optimal play style, but like it made it so much easier to play.
Yeah.
Like if you have a
Then
character that's like
just
a
play a
fire character, pick a
sorcerer.
fire or play a sorcerer. Yeah. But like it's like if you're a fire character, like a fire wizard or mage, you're gonna want to pick like a lot of fire spells. Or if you want to be like a glass cannon, if you want to be like really do a lot of damage, then just pick all the damage spells. Like there's no
So
wrong answer.
I like my play style is like I want to be DPS. Like let me do all the damage. I fucking love damage. But that was Vin, you know, and that was my character in campaign 1. And Max had said when I told him I was like, "Hey, I want to do changeling again." He's like, "You can do changeling, but you have to make it different," you know? And I was like, "Okay, I can do that." So I'm playing like a utility character, which
I
is
noticed
not
that.
it's not me. And I am like, how can I help in this situation? Fog cloud. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, how do
But
I
you guys are
help?
so good at it. Like we had this chat after one of the games like a week or two ago about I was like, I'm so like proud of Mac because you
Oh,
like clearly are stepping outside of your comfort zone. And like I think you're doing a great job. So
thank you. Cause I'm like,
I'm
I
loving
don't,
it.
what do I do with my hands? Like,
I'm trying to
I
pick up
want
your
the hands
damage
to be doing
slack, but
fireball.
girl, I'm trying to pick up your damage slack, but every time I take out my pistol, I miss. So,
Oh
Peter
it's
no.
has the
fine.
worst luck
It's like
ever.
I take out my Yakuwa and I'ma slap this bitch, and then it's just like you throw your Yakuwa in over the boat, over the edge of the boat into the water, never to be seen again. It's like, oh,
And then
okay.
every time you don't want to do a lot of damage.
Or like kill somebody.
Incinerated. Damn it.
Cause that's acid splash, right?
Yeah.
Oh, one of them. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I didn't even realize how OP acid splash was. Because
Me
I
neither.
take that as a sorcerer, but I'm like, like it's situational, but like you're like killing people with it.
By accident every time. Never even mean
Dude,
to.
Now
I
is
was
that
like,
your
I just want
wild.
normal
him to burn a
play
little bit
style?
so that he calms down. Hey,
And then
what
dies.
playstyle?
Yeah,
Yeah,
is that like
he's
for
like,
you? Is that your normal play style? Like would you rather be in there like doing damage, or are you
I
more like about the
I
role
do like
play?
the
Like
I do like the damage also, but, the thing is, like, I do like rolling dice, so I do enjoy a mix of, like, being able to roll dice all the time. So even as part of the role play, like, when the DM sneaks in that, like, "Do a deception check." Like, I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
okay, you know what I was trying
yeah,
to
I like
do.
that
I
too. I like
see."
that
And
too.
then it's like, yeah, my character's actually really terrible at lying. Like I do like that stuff is interesting to me, or like when you're investigating things or looking at something and um but I never know what to like if I want to roll the dice, I'm not great at like prompting the DM because I don't know what the options for that are. So I'm kind of like, would I know this from my history knowledge?
Yeah. Like I
I
would
think that's
totally
like
know
And then Max is
it.
like, "Oh, roll a history check." And I'm like, "Yes. Hit the
I
one."
think that's the way to do it. I think that works. I also think it's always better to just like do something or say you want to do something or explain what you want to do and not
Mhm.
worry about if you can or can't do
Yeah,
it.
I
Yeah.
think it's the DM's job to tell you if you can or can't do it.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
your job to come up with like,
Yeah.
well, this is what I want to do. So you're either going to let me do it or you're not, you know?
Yeah.
Just be ready for them
Yeah.
to say no. You see me do that to Max all the time on stream. I'm like, well, I want to do this and this. And he's like, why? What do you? And I'm like, oh, because I want this. And he's like, no. And I'm like,
No,
oh, that's okay.
that's not how
So
this works.
Yeah, I think I'm getting more used to, like, asking for that, which is good, especially because we did have that discussion previously of, like, wanting to show more of our characters and stuff, and how we were missing all of each other's signals, especially when it's online, right? Like, if it's in person and it's not on stream, like, when it's on
Yeah,
stream, we can't be like, "Hey, let me do this thing now," kind of thing, like that it doesn't quite go well in
yeah.
terms of like there's no entry point for that, and unless someone's like, "You said did you have a family? Tell me more about it." Like,
But like,
you
I don't
can't
know the
expect
difference.
people to pick that
Yes.
up. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. You
it's
can't
so
expect people to pick
hard.
that up. So I think we've come so far in just the past couple of weeks in terms of like
Mhm.
putting forward when we're ready to share something and picking points where our characters feel um, in a good enough spot to, like, open up that
Share.
yeah, to share that
Yeah.
thing or to ask each other specific questions, like, we're getting better at asking the specific questions of each other when we have the chance, rather
Tell me
than
more.
yeah, rather than, like,
It's really like the
picking
last
up on
episode.
something that doesn't even look like it's a clue, it might just sound like it's a joke or something.
And like, that's for me when like you would have all these like little quips, right? And I was like,
Yeah,
wait, is
and you're
that
like,
just an
"Is that
old
it?"
person being old, or is that actually
Yes.
something for us to nibble on, you know?
Yeah,
Like
which is so important to acknowledge for me because the thing is that there's what I'm trying to accomplish, but then when you also add to that the perspective from your guys' side of like if my character could actually roll adequately, then maybe it would look different. It wouldn't look like I was just making a quip, right? You
Right?
might
Yeah,
actually pick that
yeah.
up as a
Like,
clue, but because
I
she's
meant
always
this.
falling over herself, it's like, I don't know if it's just grandma being grandma kind of thing,
I
which
mean,
is that's
that's
why it's
so
so interesting.
true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so true. Like, if you were to be rolling much higher, like
Mhm.
18s, 20s, like anything over 15,
More
everything would have went
consistently.
through and we would have thought you were like on your game. But because
Yeah.
Mhm.
nothing goes through for you, you're
Yeah.
just like, there, sure. Like that meme of like the woman in the walker and just like back in my day, the internet made boop 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 sounds. And okay, sure it did. It's like
Okay,
literally
but
like that.
when are we playing the Golden Girls one shot where we all play old ladies together? That's what I want to
Party!
know.
Oh my
When is that
gosh!
happening?
That's so
The next
fun.
charity one shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're
Golden
all
Girls.
old
I'll run it.
people.
I'll run it. Have you all ever played? So, have you played in games with other women before, or is this the first? Because a lot of times I find that I'm the only girl at the table.
Actually, yeah. Well, with you guys is the only time I've ever played with women, because even at the card shop, it was very much like a boys' club. And then when I was playing with Drew and his friends, it was all boys, except there was one girl, but she left mid-campaign. She didn't finish it with us because an altercation with another person and like something that happened in game kind of bled into like real life and she couldn't separate like in game from real life and so she got
Um,
mad and
Oh, that
left the
sucks.
table.
it sucks. It happens though. Like
Yeah.
Mm.
it's hard when you're playing a game with a lot of emotion. Like it can be hard. I think it's like an actor thing too. You have to really learn to separate like the emotions from the scene that you're doing from like real life, right? And if you're a good
Sure.
actor, you learn to separate those things really well. But I don't know if I sometimes wonder like does D&D prepare us for that? I don't think so. We all like people it gets messy, right?
It does.
Well, we'll have to do that. We need to do an all ladies game because I do think that like I've played in one for like we had a campaign for a little while and it's a very different dynamic.
Oh,
So
that would be so fun.
I
honestly,
actually have
it,
done one as well.
yeah,
I did a one
okay. Was it
shot.
different dynamic for you too?
Yeah, but I don't think it was so much the fact that the whole group was like, because the thing is, all the games that I've played have been at least half women.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Oh,
just from
yeah.
I think the time
That
that
has
I
not been my
started.
experience. That's
Same,
great
not
though.
me, not same.
Yeah. So it's been pretty even, but the thing is that the all one of the all women games that I played, I think it was more so just not being used to the DM. Like it's like what you were saying about like the your play styles or your personality styles, not quite because I felt like in that
Yeah.
game there was so much that I wanted to do, but again, it was my roles were terrible and it ended up just and I wanted to at least try to play into the entertainment of things not going well, but I felt like I just kept hitting a wall with the DM telling their own story for that
Oh,
session.
Yeah.
yeah. Like, this
Yeah.
is mine. This isn't how I wanted to play. This is the way
Yeah.
I wanted it to go.
Yeah,
This is
so it was
why
kind of like you would kind of present an offer and then it's like, Don't worry about that. We're doing this now,"
They're
kind of
like,
thing. And
"No."
then you would
yeah.
never get the opportunity to do something that you want to do. But I also learned from that game just the letting go part because I hadn't yet gotten used to the fact that like you don't have to do everything that you want. You can just be like,
I
"Oh,
still
that would be
struggled with
fun. Do I
that.
have a chance to do this? No? Oh, that's fine. I'll do whatever."
Yeah.
Like
I still
so
struggle with that sometimes. So
yeah.
but I yeah, it depends. Yeah, it's hard. It's good. It doesn't matter who's playing. It's more about the play styles of the people playing
Yeah.
and does it
Mm.
The
mesh
dynamic, the personalities.
and like do you mesh with like the DM and are they telling the story that you want to tell? Because you're to me it's group storytelling. It's not the DM story.
Yeah.
But some DMs they do want to run it as their story. And that's
Mm.
okay, but that's just a different type of game.
Yeah,
So
it's
And it's
like,
also
"This is
good to
my
know ahead
story,
of
you're my
time.
pawns."
also yeah. Well, we do session 0, which actually I've really appreciated that Max does the session zeros. Have you had those in other campaigns? Um, for anyone listening or in chat, a session 0, if you don't know, is when it's like a pre-session to like talk about what you want out of the game and everybody's like play styles and like we recently had a mini second session zero to make sure we wanted to be like the same type of pirates. Like we want to make sure we're all on the same page about like how
Our
piratey do we want
pirate
our pirates to
adventure.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Mm.
we good or are we bad?
Yeah.
What's our alignment here?
Sometimes you gotta like take that step back, right? And I also think that's really important when playing with people you don't know or you're not comfortable with, or like say you are the only woman in the group and you don't know everybody very well. That might be a really important thing to ask for just to make sure like nobody's gonna be creepy or anything.
Yeah. What are the boundaries of the
Yeah.
group? And yeah, I think that's super important as well.
Yeah, before you
Um,
commit for a long haul campaign or in
Actually,
particular.
I wanted to talk about this because we're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask because I think that falls into this. Like, what advice do you have for other women and maybe even young girls? I don't, young girls don't listen to this. We curse a lot, but if you're haven't played D and
Oh,
D
kidding.
and you do feel you do feel very like it's not approachable or accessible to you because you're a woman or you're a minority or you just have never seen yourself in it before, but you would like to play. What are some advice that we can give to them to help them play D&D because it's the best game in the world. So they should
Message,
play it. They should be able to
message
play
us to play with us. Yes.
it.
I
It's
would. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's just I think it makes it easier if you can find at least one other woman to play with. Like, that's helpful. Or at least a recommendation or, like, a community of people, like, I don't know. I feel like you kinda need to jump in and start playing regardless, although that wasn't my experience, and I don't wanna put someone in a situation where they end up feeling uncomfortable and have a bad experience and then don't pursue playing, but it might be worth at least dipping toes in a little bit, even if you do just find groups that are mostly male, just to get a sense for the game itself, but, like, actively try to, reach out to and build a network of ladies to learn from and play with.
Yeah. I would say, like, the path that I took, like, by playing in a card shop,
Mm,
really helped me actually find people who wanted to play the game because it's one thing when you have, like, a group of women or anyone, you're like, "Oh my gosh, we have 4 people, let's play," but you don't have a DM, and I think when you're playing a game like D&D, you can't have never played D&D and then DM. Like, you need to have someone who knows the rules, knows how to play to guide the newbies until you feel comfortable DMing. So, like, a card shop environment where, like, you're just a character and you're just kinda doing whatever is a
mm,
really good way to just kind of, like, jump in and start, and then even from there, if the card shop, like in my experience, is really big, you might find, I don't know, 4 or 5 people that want to break off and like, hey, Thursdays, do you want to come to my house and we can play our own game outside the card shop? And like that's kind of how you can find more people to play. And then once you have a network, then because I don't know if you guys have this experience, but I in my everyday life, I have a lot of people like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna play D&D, I wanna play." It's always a scheduling thing, and so it's like there's ample people, but it's just
Mhm.
finding the time to play.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or making the time to play too. Because like
Yeah,
sometimes you can't
yeah.
definitely.
find it. Sometimes you have to make it. I think that's really good advice. I do think there's something really good to be said about just like kind of jumping in the deep end, sticking your toe in and seeing if it's for you. Because even if it's not the best experience, you'll learn what you don't want out of a game.
Mm,
Yeah.
And that's almost like it's like dating, right? You have to date people
yeah,
to realize like, oh, that's not what I want. I want something I
You
know what
want
I
this.
want, right? I think that's important. That said, I obviously it's not an option for everybody. There are a lot of online games too.
I
So
was
when we
Yeah.
say
yes.
it doesn't have to be like a physical shop. There are lots of online groups. There's lots of resources on Reddit, and there are a lot of Reddit groups for women within a subgroup. Like there's
Oh,
women gamers groups, and so you could try and look and see if there's either like Facebook groups or Reddit groups that are like specifically tailored to that. If that would make you feel more comfortable too.
Well,
Um,
actually, on that point, I just want to quickly say because what you were saying about card shops, so there are actually professional DMs that you
oh
can
yeah,
hire by the hour to
oh, to
essentially
DM your
teach you the
game.
game. Yeah, to DM your
yeah.
game and to teach you the game. Like, for example, we have if you're more isolated, there are people who do it online. Like I know a couple of DMs who do this, so that's what I'm saying. Like reach out to us and ask us. We might have recommendations for people who
Yeah,
do
Yeah, I
that.
was gonna say you
yeah.
can get
But you
started. Yeah.
can,
Or in the
yeah,
Discord, we have a tabletop channel. Like other people can help too. We have a
mm,
huge community of people that play D&D. That's a really good
exactly.
point, because it's like what Mac was saying. Like maybe you have a group of friends and you all want to play, but you're like, but we don't have a DM, and it's really hard to DM if you've never done it. But like
Mhm.
just pool your money to do
Hire
like a
one.
one shot and like learn. Yeah, like that would really help you feel more
Yeah,
comfortable.
for
Yeah,
sure.
we
That's
have
such a good idea.
a big games place that opened, in Melbourne and in Sydney called Fortress as well, which is similar to what you were saying, like a card shop, but
Yeah, like a
it's not
game
like a
shop.
card shop, but
Yeah.
they have, like, LANing and arcade games, and they have people who teach you Magic. They have people who, DM, one shots, like, they have, like, Dungeons& and Dragons nights where you can
Warhammer,
just
like
come and they have a like you don't even need to, like, pre-register. You show up and they're like,
yep,
"Okay, here's the game. There's a DM, you, and you. Let's go. Here's a
yep, that
random
was
character
literally
Yeah.
my
sheet."
experience.
Yeah, it's only like it's with less people as well, so I think you get a little bit more of an experience. But that's so fun though. I never would have thought how that sounds wild having that many people in a
And
session.
It's
Max brought
crazy.
up a good point too, that like regardless of one of these things you try, like you can always just leave a game. If it's not
Mhm.
working for you, just leave. Everyone will be happier because if it's not working for you, then it's probably not working for them either. And it's okay for people to just, it's like dating. It's like, if it's not working, that's
It's not
okay.
working.
Go
Yeah.
find the group that works for you. Like they're
Yeah.
out there. I
You can accept
promise they're
this.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's hard. It's hard because everyone wants to play, but you can do it. We believe in you.
I believe, just play D&D. No.
What
Best
advice
DMs
do you
might be
have
expensive, but
What advice do you have for someone if they are feeling othered because they are like a woman or a girl playing D&D? Like maybe they want to play a male character and the people at the table won't let them, or maybe the other characters want to like go hit on the girls at the tavern and they're like, I don't really feel comfortable. What advice do you have for someone who's like in a game and they're struggling or they're feeling uncomfortable?
oh, that's a hard question to answer because everyone's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like that session 0 can kind of mitigate some of that where if you're like, "Hey, like I don't like harassing like like in the if like for example, if you're in a tavern and like a group of guys is like harassing a maiden or whatever, you're like, I don't like that. I don't want that in my game. Like, let's not do that. And so having that session 0 can like lay out those ground rules. And then, like, for example, in our game that we have like if we just put X in the chat, Max will change the subject. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what
Mm.
it is. Like it could be that, like, for example, if I'm like if Max is, like, describing a scene, he's like, "It's a really cloudy day," and blah, blah, I would be like, "X," and he's like, "It's a sunny day." Like, or like like, he'll just
I
change
just
the
can't handle
subject,
it.
no questions asked, like, it doesn't matter. So, I think you should be able to play in a group that you feel comfortable with, and, like, as you were talking, Bun, I immediately wanted to be like, "Find a new group." Like,
Yeah.
if like,
Mm.
that's my like, find someone else, but, like, have that session 0 for the ground rules to go over what you don't like, you know?
And I
I
think
think it's
it's okay
okay
to
to
ask
have
for that later too.
Yeah,
Like if you
yeah.
didn't
definitely.
do it. Yeah.
It's okay to, like, have that, like, mini interview to at least like, if you don't know what you're uncomfortable with until it comes up, like, I'm that person who, like, I'm fine with literally whatever as long as everyone else in the group is comfortable. Then, like, I there's nothing in particular that I'm like, "Oh, hard stop at this." Like, I don't necessarily have boundaries like that. Other people do, and that's totally fine. But having a discussion or like little interview beforehand to just make sure that you have those processes in place where like if something happens that you do feel uncomfortable that you'll be able to either take a pause or change the subject or do whatever. Just knowing that you have that facility I think makes a huge difference, and if your group isn't willing to do that, then that's probably the first red flag to just go and find something else first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's some
like,
good
if you get into that
advice.
situation and you
Yeah.
can't just and the DM is like, "This is happening," or one of the other players starts doing something and you don't have the and you say, "Can we take a pause for a second?" and they don't wanna do that, like you're totally in your rights to just be like,
Yeah,
you
your
know what?
book,
I'm
yeah, your
Bye.
dice.
my character's
like,
dead. I'll see you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go along, suckers.
We'll
I
Yeah.
don't think I can do that. Like, and it doesn't have to be something that serious. Like once I was in a game where a guy was like telling me how to play my character, and I was just like getting really annoyed by that. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm maybe not be as
Mansplain it
fast
to
as you.
me.
Yeah, it was basically mansplaining what to do, and I was going to cast Fairy Fire, and he was basically like, "Yeah, but you don't want to cast that because then that's going to hit me too," and blah blah blah. You should probably shouldn't cast that. And I was like, I just looked at the DM, I looked at this other guy, and just said, "I cast Fairy Fire."
On
Yeah.
him.
Just as a
No.
big fuck you. No, I did. I was
Yeah.
basically just like, you know what? If you're gonna treat me like I don't know what I'm doing, I don't really care anymore because you're like I want to have everybody should feel like they have control over their character
Yeah.
Mhm.
and their part of the story. And if someone's trying to take that away from you, don't just let them do that. And then if it's a problem, just leave or ask them to leave if they're the problem. It sucks, but again, you just gotta learn how to manage the situation. I don't know.
Yep. Definitely.
Okay, well, I think we covered everything. I don't know. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about? Being a lady and playing D&D.
No, just have
Um,
fun and find your people.
Yeah.
Find your people. Yeah. Go have
I
some
like
fun
that.
slumber party D&D games with your girlfriends and then tell us all about it because it sounds fun. And
The
now I want to have a
Discord. No.
yeah. Join the Discord if
Or
you have
on
any questions
Twitter.
or if you're not sure or on Twitter. Like what? And if you liked this episode and you want us to talk more about any of this, or you want a ladies' night takeover part 2,
Yeah, if you want more
Let us know.
ladies' night, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know what you want us to talk about. If you have any questions for us specifically or about
Questions,
our experiences.
topics. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Any
if
And thanks to everyone in chat.
situations.
if anyone's new, Bun, where can they find us normally?
Well, if you're watching us now and you're new, I don't we did not intro this at all. This is our talk show that we do every Monday. It's called Tome of Knowledge, but we're actually a D&D live stream channel where we play D&D every week live for your enjoyment.
What
And
day?
get our
What
enjoyment.
time?
And that's every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Is that right?
Or every
Where?
Saturday at
Yeah.
11 a.m. Australian
The
time.
same. We play here at the same location, Casters and Cantrips. You can find us pretty much on all the socials, Casters and Cantrips, all one word. And if you're enjoying this, you like the D&D related content that's not like fully D&D, we also have an art stream on Tuesdays. So I'll be back tomorrow doing some art. I don't know. I'm going to try and get Nina to join me one of these days because she can art too.
There's
I know
art
I've been
together?
busy. I
Oh my
really want
gosh.
to though.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to art together. But tomorrow I think we're finishing up the logo for this stream. It's almost done. I've been using it and stuff, but we need to clean up a few
Looks
things.
great. I love it.
So,
Yeah, it looks awesome.
so yeah, if you like D&D related art or character art, come and hang out on Tuesdays at 7. That's the only one that's a little later, 7 Pacific time again. But if not, we'll see you on Friday for D&D. Do either of y'all ladies have anything going on this week that you want to shout out? Make sure you follow Mac and Cheese, please, and Kid Kerrigan, because they're both beautiful, awesome streamers, both here and on YouTube. And make sure you throw them a follow so you can watch their content.
Actually, it's my birthday on Sunday, and then next week is Games Week in Melbourne, so we have
Happy
PAX Australia.
birthday!
Thank you. I forget how old I am, but I'm sure it's late 30s somewhere. Somewhere in it.
Woo!
I love
All right. Well, on
it.
that note, I don't know. We're gonna sing "Happy Birthday" as I fade to black. How about
You want me
that?
to sing happy birthday? I promise
We're
you
just gonna
that.
fade to black. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Your jobs and the boys. You can throw that in the comments too.
Yeah,
Okay,
tell us
bye.
ladies is better. No, I'm kidding.